Hello, I'm Elle Edwards, the Mindset Geek from GoToElle.com, and welcome back. Now, in today's episode, we are talking about rules, and I have to confess, I'm not a massive fan of rules. I mean, there's the big rules like, not to steal stuff and don't hit people and don't murder anybody. Those kind of rules, sure. The rules that involve human kindness and being decent to people, yeah, okay, I can get on board with those, but they shouldn't need to be rules. They're just a way of showing up in life. But those rules where people, I guess they're founded on shoulds. Rules where you should do this or you should do that. I'm not so happy about those ones because they kind of feel a little bit like a straitjacket. Now, the context of this episode is I've been thinking about NaNoWriMo, and if you've been following along or you've been getting the updates and the resources via email, you will have heard me mention NaNoWriMo. And in case you're one of the uninitiated, NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month. But lots of my audience are business people, entrepreneurs, and maybe you don't want to write a novel. Maybe you're not about writing fiction. Well, today's episode is especially for you because today I wanted to encourage you. Now, yes, NaNoWriMo was set up by the NaNoWriMo Foundation. I don't know. It's set up by an organisation and they have a website and all the rest of it. And sure, they say that you should use the time to write a novel in a month, and that's great. If that serves you, if that's what you want to do, amazing. And yes, these resources that I'm putting out throughout October will help you. However, if you'd like to write a non-fiction book, if you want to finish a book that you've already started, if you want to plan your book out in October, and maybe even, start with some of the character development and really you do lots of thinking about your book in October in preparation, I am here to help you. Because yes, the rules say that it should be a brand new novel from scratch. It shouldn't be one that you've started already. Well, sorry folks. Yes, that might be the rules, but those are one of those rules that I would quite happily encourage you to break. Personally, I'm going to be using November to finish Danielle. It's my novel that was meant to be out in June, and I put it to one side to focus on GoToElle and this mindset work. It was a choice, but I really do want to get it ready for publication by Christmas Day. And that involves finishing writing it. And I've actually already started it. I'm about halfway done already. So I'm actually breaking the rules myself. So you could argue, yes, I have a vested interest in encouraging other people to break the rules. And no, I'm not going to give myself a NaNoWriMo badge at the end of it because I won't have won. And I want to put air quotes around that word, won. I won't have won in the traditional terms. But you know what? It doesn't matter. So I'm here today to encourage you. Let's use NaNoWriMo and the energy around writing for a month to get that really big, important goal done, even if doing so doesn't technically meet with the rules of NaNoWriMo. If that sounds like you, great, you're in good company. Because there is something spectacular about community coming together, lots of people focused on the same goal. And yes, if you're on Instagram, there are loads of posts and writing tips. If you follow any of the NaNoWriMo related hashtags, I found out yesterday, incidentally, there's Preptober as well, which I think is a great one for October, because as you know, I think we can prepare ourselves mentally for an amazing NaNoWriMo. For any big goal you want to get done, preparing yourself beforehand is really important. But I want to remind you today not to let the rules get you stuck in your head. Because those rules, think of them as guidelines, or think of them as things to nudge you in a great direction, but they're not meant to tie you up in knots. And this is totally applicable to other areas of your life and business as well. Now, I did promise there are some people who are following along who aren't writing in November. And I did promise that all of this mindset work that we're doing in October is completely applicable to your non-writing goals as well. So I feel like I should mention that right now in today's episode, because it's very, very valid. There might be rules around what you're trying to do with your project, with your goals, whatever it is that you are focusing on. There are rules around that stuff. There are guidelines. There are things put in place. Now, I'm not encouraging you to go breaking the law. Instead, I'm about encouraging you to shift how you think about those rules. Think about them as guidelines, think about them as ways to nudge you in the correct direction, but don't allow them to tie you up in knots. And yes, I'm repeating myself because it bears repeating. Too often we let these rules and these shoulds and these expectations of other people to tie us up in knots, and really it doesn't serve us and it doesn't serve the world. Whatever that project is that you are working on, whether it is a book like some of us are doing here as part of this community, amazing, fantastic, I can't wait to see what comes of that. But even if it's not a writing project, whatever that thing is that you are working on, this world needs it. Even if you're doing it to scratch your own itch. There are people who will be writing novels in November who might never publish them. Doesn't really matter. I mean, yes, I'm all about encouraging you to write and then publish and get stuff out there, because I think that's amazing. But even if you're preparing something that's literally for your own pleasure, to scratch an itch, how much better do you feel in yourself to have that sense of accomplishment? Much better, I can tell you. It puts a little spring in your step and a twinkle in your eye. So even if you think that your goal or your project or that thing you're working towards is completely selfish, if it's just for your own amusement, do it anyway. It doesn't matter. All of that stuff is important. Anything that lights you up and helps you show up in this world in a bigger, brighter, more fully self-expressed, you embracing your inner weirdo way has got my vote. I think it's amazing and brilliant. And so today, as you get ready for this new day and you move forward and think about your goals and your plans and your project, consider what are the rules right now that might be holding you back, and do you need to tweak them, shift them, remove them completely? Something for you to consider as you get ready and start thinking about your project next month. And as ever, if you're not already signed up for these updates, yes, these are released on the blog and via YouTube and podcasts and blah, 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 whatever. But to make sure you don't miss an episode, I would encourage you to go to gotoelle.com and sign up, because then every weekday you'll get a little email from me with a sort of little bit of a blurb and some words and then a link to where you can watch the content for the day, because there is actually structure to this. You may not have spotted it yet because we're very early in this process, but there is a structure, and each week we have a different focus for the week, all with the overarching goal of helping you get your book written and ready for publication. Okay, so if you're not signed up already, go to gotoelle.com, because I'd like to share those resources with you. In the meantime, I've been Elle from gotoelle.com. Smile, have yourself a delightful day. Take care. Bye-bye.